Oh, hello. And why am I wearing this hat? Welcome to the Iron Spoon Chicken. Welcome to Iron Spoon Kitchen, where the Iron Spoon has been stirring up a lot of trouble lately. Apparently, I've got hold of a spice or something like that that you know who wants back, and and I don't know how it just fell out of the larder one night when I was getting a late night snack, and I don't know how I got it. Why is this table so short? The dishes aren't. I gotta go. Oh, hello there. Yes, no need to worry. Situation is well under control, well at hand. It seems like the old Iron Spoon cook got something that fell out of my sleigh, and he thinks it's something good that turns cookies into being delicious, but they don't. They actually turn everything into tasting like broccoli, which is fine if you like broccoli, but not for me, not for me. So I've got to get that back from him, and then you may be wondering why I'm dressed like this. Well, it's something Mrs. Claus gave me, and well, you know, I go all over the place, and so there's lots of things that I've got to do. So I've got to get, oh, what do we have here? Ah, yes, looks just like me. But I've got to go, and Merry Christmas, everybody. Everything's good. Looks like everything's gonna work out just fine. And I gotta get going. Yep, no, it's not a sleigh, but you know, I use different ways to get around sometimes this time of year. But it's a good one. It's a good one. So, Merry Christmas, everyone. Whoa, that was some dream. I dreamt that Santa was chasing me, and for some reason, Santa looked a little bit like me also. And some mysterious thing. Oh, it's fading away. Oh, what a crazy thing. Well, it's time to get on.
Are you awake?
What?
Yeah, it's time to get started.
Okay, it's time to get ready for the Iron Spoon Christmas special. Let's go. Hello, and welcome to the Iron Spoon Kitchen Christmas special, where we're going to be making Christmas cookies today. And I don't think there's anything better to taste than Christmas cookies. I loved those when I was growing up. And this is a recipe that my grandma did, and she made them for my mom many years ago, and my mom continued to cook them, so you're going to delight in this type of cookie. And one of the reasons is that it has a bit of a crispy outside and soft on the inside. Now, if you cook it longer, it'll be really crispy, but it has a wonderful texture to it. So let's get started on this. We have, now on the recipe, I'm gonna put the recipe at the end, and it's gonna have two recipes. One for a full recipe with 4 cups of flour, and then a half recipe with 2 cups. If you make it with 4 cups of flour, you can make about 5 dozen cookies with this, depending on the size. And so that's a lot of cookies if you need it. But if you need a smaller amount, we're going to do the half recipe today. And so we have 2 cups of sifted flour, vanilla. We have our nutmeg, and using fresh nutmeg, baking powder, baking soda, salt, and I think half teaspoon of baking powder, and a 1/4 teaspoon of baking soda, a 1/4 teaspoon of salt. Butter, sugar, 1 egg, and let's see, how much sugar? 3/4 of a cup of sugar. And as I said, and then we're going to decorate them in the second part of the episode. I have a lot of stuff prepared for you today. We're going to even do a little craft with cloves and an orange. You're going to enjoy that as well. Well, I guess it's time to start sifting the flour. Where did I put my sifter? Ah, of course, in the wrong place. I had everything ready. So let's go ahead and sift this flour. And this is 2 cups, as I said. Okay, I'll get this sifted and I'll be right back. Looks like we have our flour sifted just fine. And we're going to mix our dry ingredients. So let's see. So let's go ahead and add the salt, baking powder, and baking soda. And then, let's see, and the nutmeg. And I already did about a 1/4 teaspoon of nutmeg. And that might be something that's interesting for you, is that I thought that maybe if I used the real nutmeg as opposed to the ground, that it would be, I couldn't use as much. But pretty much it's 1 for 1. So if you're using fresh ground nutmeg, you can use the same measuring amount as the others. Yeah, you may want to put maybe just a little bit more just because of the texture of it. But here we go. That's, well, better. Maybe I ought to measure that. Always. Oh, yeah, that would have been a little bit too much. But then put just a little dab more. So 1/4 teaspoon of the nutmeg. Okay, let's whisk that together. That's always the easiest part. Okay, now we've got that taken care of. Now we're going to go ahead and beat the butter, sugar, and the egg together. So here's our sugar. 3/4 cup of sugar. And our butter. Got that cut up. That always makes a difference because we're about to mix it all together. You don't want the big chunks in there. And then the 1 egg. And we got that taken care of. Now let's give this a little preliminary. Well, nah. Ooh, those look so good. I can tell you they are. I've sampled at least 2. So we're going to get this all mixed together. There's not much to see here, just mixing. Okay, well, maybe you want to come over and take a look. Come on over and take a look. Okay, that wasn't too bad. Let's get all that out of the beaters. That's probably not the best way to do it, but usually it works. Didn't go everywhere, just went some places. Okay, now we're going to mix everything together. Oh, let me add the vanilla there. And as we've done in other recipes, we're going to add this a little bit at a time, so that it doesn't get all clogged up. Okay. Hey, I'll get this mixed and we'll be back in just a second. Okay, it's all mixed together now. I did mix it together with my hands a bit to get the use of the Mixerator 10,000 in there. And one of the things I'm going to do that I learned from another recipe that we did with the spice cookies is that this needs to be refrigerated. But instead of just putting it in the refrigerator as one big lump of dough, I learned on the spice cookies to go ahead and roll it out and then refrigerate it, because then it's easier to cut and to roll. So that's what I'm going to try here. And I'm going to make it about 1/4 inch thick, maybe a little bit thinner. But 1/4 inch seems to be a good size for these cookies because they will rise more. And if you watch the spice cookie recipe, those cookies don't rise much, but these do. These will get a nice roundness to them. Let's see how thick we have them. That should be about right. Yeah, that's about right. So I'm going to take this and put it in the refrigerator for about an hour and a half. And I'm going to do the same to the other set of dough that I have, the other part of the dough that I have. And I'll see you back in about an hour and a half. We're ready to do the little craft here. And this is the activity that my sister did when she was in second grade many years ago. And I guess it's more or less a Christmas air freshener. And you take the orange and you put the cloves in it. And it is something that will last forever. My sister did this in second grade, and it was still in my parents' house 50 years later. Now, of course, the orange had dried up some time ago, but it still had the fragrance of the cloves in it all those years later. For some reason, that always fascinated me. And so I thought this would be a perfect opportunity to do this. And let me get you one of the finished products so you can see what it's going to look like. Got to get that fixed. Okay. You can see that looks kind of familiar for some reason. Okay, so this is what it's going to look like, and you'll put it in some sort of a mesh, and then you can hang it or just set it on the shelf. Like hers did, sat on the shelf in our kitchen for, like I said, almost 50 years. So let's go ahead and get started on this. And all you do is you just start pushing in the cloves. And I recommend doing this with a small one, small orange, because otherwise it'll take you forever to do it. Definitely don't use a grapefruit. But if you got time on your hands, listen to some Christmas music, and the time will go by quickly. Which, that reminds me, maybe one of my favorite Christmas songs. Well, I'll just sing it for you. There were carols in the square, laughter everywhere, couples kissing under the mistletoe. I can't help reminiscing, knowing I'll be missing Christmas Eve in my hometown. Nothing can erase the memories I embrace, those familiar footprints on the snow. There's so much to remember, no wonder I remember Christmas Eve in my hometown. I'd like to be there, trimming the tree there, and there's a chance that I might. I can hear singing, steeple bells ringing, Noel and Silent Night. Wise men journeyed far, guided by a star, and though I'm not a wise man, this I know, through dreams and just pretending, I'll be there and I'll be spending Christmas Eve in my hometown. Well, I got 3 rows done. I guess I need to sing that one more time. Or something else. Let's see. Oh, you'll like this one. I'm dreaming of a white Christmas, just like the ones I used to know, where the treetops glisten and children listen to hear sleigh bells in the snow. I'm dreaming of a white Christmas, with every Christmas card I write. May your days be merry and bright, and may all your Christmases be white. That was written by Irving Berlin many, many years ago. Now, I think you know probably who made it famous. Me! No. Some guy by the name of Bing Crosby. If you don't know who he is, look him up. Great singer. Okay, it looks like this is going to take at least 6 more songs, so I'm going to go ahead and finish this and get this done so that we can get on with the rest of our cookies. Before I get back to those cookies, I wanted to show you this a little bit closer up. Like I said, just a bunch of cloves. You can buy them in a jar. Extras, you can buy thousands of them if you want. And all you do is just stick them in here. And the spacing just sort of lends itself to it as you're doing it. Just try to put it, next to it. So there you go. And as I said, the spacing takes care of itself. And don't worry about, if this, it's going, it's turning green or something like that. Yes, it's going to turn green. It's going to dry out, but it can last. I can attest to at least 50 years. So don't toss it out after Christmas. So here's some mesh that I got at the store, and you can just get plain mesh. They had this since it's Christmas time. Wrap it up in there. Get a little bit of ribbon. Let's see how good I am at this part. Come on. And there you have it. Gold, red, and again, just set it on a shelf, or you could even hang it on a tree. It does smell good, especially right now, since the orange is fresh and the cloves. Good combination. So there's our little craft for today, and it's about time. Shortly I'll be back with, we'll start cutting out some Christmas cookies. Okay, here we go. And let's get a little gingerbread man out. I probably should have gotten these off of the parchment a little bit sooner, just to break that just to make sure it's not all sticking. So you get to learn from my mistakes here. There we go. Let's see. Let's try this train. Sometimes these complicated ones don't come out so good. Oh, I think that'll be fine. So let's see what we have here. Let's peel that off. Get our little gingerbread man out of there. Come on, get out of there. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. He was stuck. Okay. Well, I'm going to get the rest of these out of here, and we'll be right back. Well, that didn't come out too good. We're going to try this again. I'm going to switch this out and do it again. So bear with me. Okay, this was the second one that I prepared, and I'm going to put a little bit of flour on here to help. And I got a different sheet of parchment paper, so it shouldn't stick for this one. So, but that's what happens in the Iron Spoon kitchen. Things don't always work out, but that's okay. We come up with a plan and redo it. So there's our Christmas tree. Ah, look at that. Coming out just fine. Well, let's do another one. There we go. And sometimes I've put a little Crisco in there to help that to come out. You might try that if things are sticking. But since I added this flour, I think we're cooking good. Let's see if we can get the gingerbread man, even though he's not going to be gingerbread. Oh yeah. This is working a lot better. Let's try that locomotive. Ah yes, success. So make sure you flour underneath there and separate it from the parchment before you start cutting out. So I'll go ahead and do a few more of these, and then we'll get them in the oven. Okay, we've got our cookies ready, and now to go into a 375 degree oven for about 10 minutes, or until they're nice and brown. Or not necessarily brown, but look cooked. You'll get the idea. I'll give you another picture. It looks like these are ready. They just get a little bit brown around the edges, but they don't get completely brown, so they're ready to come out. We're ready to do the icing. I have 1 cup of powdered sugar, and to that I'm going to add 1 teaspoon of corn syrup, and we'll add a tablespoon of warm water. Let's mix that together to make our icing. And you can add more water, which I can tell right now I'm going to need to add a little bit more water to dissolve this. And do it like about a 1/4 teaspoon at a time, because a little goes a long way with making this icing. Okay, I'm going to get this perfect, and I'll be right back. I ended up adding another teaspoon of warm water to this. You can see that consistency is just about perfect. And so now I'm going to put a little bit in each one of these bowls, and then we'll add some dye, some food coloring that is. Let me get a couple of more spoons here. A little bit of red. Orange. And you gotta have some green. Hey, I'm gonna mix this up together, and I'll be right back. Hey, let's go ahead and get some icing on the Christmas tree here. And when you start to run out, of one color, you just have a little bit of each, just go ahead and have a multicolored cookie. And you try to get to the edges, but it doesn't have to. It doesn't have to be perfect. And we got this orange. Put that on this flour here. Get it to the edges as close as we can. There we go. Ooh, looking good. Yeah, star. One thing about these stars with this size, you can make a whole lot of cookies with this one if you use this small size. There we go. And I had this little extra piece left over. I didn't want to toss it, so I just cut it up into a little rectangle. Okay. And our gingerbread man, his foot is intact now. Okay, I think you get the idea. And then let it sit over here. I'd give it probably about an hour just to set up to make sure it's nice and firm, and especially wait a couple hours if you're going to put it into into a container to keep fresh overnight. All right, that takes care of us. Well, once again, success. The iced cookies came out wonderful. And this was a recipe that my grandma made. I love these. They're just, well, you know what? Let's quit talking and taste. Perfect. And like I said at the beginning, this has a little bit of a crunch on the outside and it's soft on the inside. Now you can certainly make it a crispy cookie by making it a little bit thinner and cooking it a little bit longer. But I kind of like this version. So, and then of course we made our little Christmas fragrance balls. Oh, I still love that smell of cloves. And my suggestion was to make it on the smaller side so that you don't have to put so many cloves in it. And if your thumb starts to get starts to hurt, get a thimble or put a little tape on your thumb so you can keep pressing them in. Because one thing I learned about cloves is that they're a little bit sharp on the ends. And of course, this is what it looks like in progress. Well, I hope you enjoyed our Christmas special here from the Iron Spoon Kitchen. And I told you I had a joke that I wanted to share with you at the very end. And so here it is. This is one you can tell anybody and they're going to laugh. Guy walks into the doctor and says to the doctor, "Doctor, it hurts when I press my nose." And he said, "And it hurts when I press my chin. It even hurts when I press in my stomach. What's the problem?" Doctor looks at him real carefully and says, "I'll tell you what your problem is. You got a broken finger." I thought that was one of the most clever jokes I've ever heard. Well, with that, I hope that you enjoy making these cookies. And they're not hard to make. And it's fun to make, that sort of thing. And you don't have to ice them. You can just make the regular sugar cookies, and they're delicious, without any doubt. Okay, well, I hope that you have a very Merry Christmas, and congratulations for making it through another episode of the Iron Spoon Kitchen.